Is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning. My name is Janet Ashford, and I am the Executive Director with College Sector Employment Service. Thank you for joining us today. Our webinar, Networking for Career Success. This is a new webinar, and it's going to be facilitated by Sailing Tenney. Sailing is with Seneca College, and I welcome Sailing today for facilitating this webinar. Just a few housekeeping notes before we get started. To the right of your screen is a questions panel. Please feel free to pose any questions you may have to Sailing, and my role will be to relay those questions to her as we go. This has been recorded and will be available on our website in due course. But for now, we're going to start the webinar. I'm going to pass it over to Sailing, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Janet. Okay, welcome everybody to this webinar, and we'll just get started. It is Networking for Career Success. Networking is fun. Networking shouldn't feel like a chore for us, and you get to know new people, find out about new things about these people, and learn in the process and making connections. And it is very important in job search and also when you're working to build your career. So have fun. All right, today we're going to talk about one, it is important, networking is important to your career success. And then also we're going to give you a few networking strategies that you may use to help along the way. Networking, who do we network with, when do we network, and where do we do networking? And also we're going to go through a few sample questions to help you to carry on or start a meaningful conversation. Another thing at the end will be touching on how to create and give you some samples of the networking cards that you will use in these networking opportunities and events. Along the way, we'll have some practice activity that when you go out and meet with people, and you can use those to make your networking skills better every time. It is important to network in the world that of your career, your work, and your job search. We want to make connections. We want to build trust. We want to focus when each and every time we network with people. So we build a link, and one link at a time, to help you to get up to higher and higher and the ladder of your career. What is networking? It's how you make productive relationships for employment, job search, or for business. What do we want to be is, we want to be the type of person you want to meet. We all have some ideas which type of people that we want to meet in the networking event. So we want to be more like them, okay? And to help us to build more relationships. We want to be helpful. We want to be resourceful. We want to give advice, and also we want to understand. Make people understood. Okay. We can do. Although we want to think that we can, but we can't do everything ourselves. No man is an island, as you can see here, can be very successful there. There is a need to network as human beings. We have to be with other people to learn and to prosper. Networking is the number one cause of job attainment. As you can see here, advertised job, they're above the water. Everybody can see. However, the big chunk of it, the hidden job market, is about 70% of the job openings, and they are filled by referrals, which is through your network. Therefore, it is very important, extremely important in job search that we really put a lot of effort into networking. Even after we find a job, we need to network. And it is a long-term investment. So don't expect to get instant reward or results from networking. And we need to invest on a regular basis. For example, of online networking for LinkedIn, it's not a good idea to do 1 hour, 2 hours every week, right? It's probably better to get on your LinkedIn account, maybe 20, 30 minutes, at least 20, 30 minutes a day. So it's on a regular basis. And through networking, you can make lifelong friends. For example, if you work at a company, then you participate in all the opportunities that you have to network with your coworkers. It could be with your managers through any sort of activities. Could be sports, could be volunteer activities. You can make friends, and your friends will help each other out throughout the career. Well, it is surprising to me that I find that the research finds that 1/3 to 1/2 of the population are introverts. And also introverts are not shy people. They're pretty different. Introverts, they are more productive when they can spend time alone by themselves, and more creative that way. There are a lot of famous people are introverts. That doesn't mean that they're not good in networking. Okay? They can be very good in networking, because introverts are not the ones that they are afraid to be judged, which shy people are. So a few things that if you're introverts like me, then there are a few things that you can do to help yourself. One is be yourself. Don't pretend you're outgoing or you're somebody else. And try to network one-on-one instead of one in a group setting. Okay? That might be a little bit more helpful. And reconnect first with your friends and coworkers. People already know you. They know your abilities, and reconnect with them, people that you have lost contact. So that will be a good thing, a good place to start. When you go to a networking event, bring a friend with you, okay? And be prepared with your questions and what you want to get out of the networking event. Have a goals set for yourself before you go to any event. And also try to network online. Use the tools, the online tools, to help you to reach out to other people in the business world. Networking is not all about you. It's not about you wanting to find a job. You want the people to help you to get a job lead, or you wanting people to help you in your work to connect with other people. Okay, so a lot of times we need to give. We need to give more than we take, and we need to offer to help without expecting something in return. We can offer to people with resources or with leads and things that you know, and the best gift you can give is your time. Because that's probably the most valuable thing anybody could give is in this busy world, right? Volunteer is definitely a great opportunity for you to get to know people from different professions and with the same passion, where you have a common ground, so you can build relationship a little bit easier. Always show that you're grateful to people when they help you, and it is beneficial to your relationships and your career. For example, if you go to a networking event, you talk to somebody, make sure at the end, afterwards, immediately after that, and the day after that, you send a thank you email for sharing some of their ideas with you. And some people might think, oh, that's really unnecessary. It is necessary, and show that you're courteous, you're polite, you have the business communication skills, right? A positive attitude. So for you, a practice activity for you would be here. Try to write a thank you note to someone who has helped you recently. Doesn't matter what, whether it's business related or not. Just if you went to a Thanksgiving party this past weekend at your relative's house, just send a thank you email. Thank you very much for inviting me over. We had a great time. That's it. So get into the habit of show your attitude, of gratitude all the time. And that's going to be helpful in the long term. All right, let's talk about a few strategies that you can use. One is we want to avoid certain questions and comments, especially in a networking event. I mean, I could talk to my family, my friends about something that we have totally different views on. And after that, we can still be friends and family, no problem. But in a networking event, you're meeting somebody for the first time, then we want to avoid any confrontational subjects, anything related to race, religion, or politics. And there's no benefit in bringing up those subjects. And we don't want to trying to get people's confidential information or personal information, and that will make people uncomfortable. Okay? And any negative comments about your past employers or your neighbors, no need to talk about it. Everything should be positive in a networking situation, and no gossips. Okay? When you look at these people's faces, they're uncomfortable. And they might be saying, oh, that's interesting. You know, things, the answer, you look at their body language, their facial expression, then you can see that I got to stop it, okay? For people we never met before, and then we will get into what icebreakers are about. Is awkward or a little bit awkward, uncomfortable when meeting people for the first time, but these are the things that we can help ourselves to start getting to know the people. The more we get to know somebody, the more attractive they become to us. Okay, so that's what we're trying to get in an icebreaker. Start to know something about them and start getting that connection going. Here are some of the sample questions for icebreakers. And first, we introduce ourselves. My name is. And instead of saying, how are you? How do you do? And that, be a little bit more positive and proactive and say, I'm glad to meet you, or it's my pleasure to meet you. Right? So that will make the person feel more welcome. How did you hear about this event? What brings you here today? Okay? These are all, you're talking about the event itself, and then are you enjoying it? How are you enjoying this event? And Do you mind if I join you? Do you know anybody here? And it's beautiful out there. If you're not at this event, where would you be? So you giving them some opportunity to talk about something they like. Maybe they rather go to the park with their kids. Maybe they rather go hiking and tennis. So you start to learn something about them. Okay, have you been here before? This is a successful event, everything positive. And this is a nice color on you, or this is a very unique pin or scarf or something. So complimenting people on their clothes and accessories is a good conversation starter for strangers and also for people you might already met before, right? And here's another practice activity. When you go to the next networking event, if you see somebody who's by himself or by herself, and seems to be willing to engage in a conversation, which means maybe they're not looking at their cell phone, or they're not on their laptop, and they want to talk to somebody. Go ahead, introduce yourself, and make a connection there. Introduce yourself, get to know the other person by asking questions like we talked about the icebreakers. And maybe there's somebody who comes along to join two of you, either somebody you know, somebody you don't know, that you can introduce your new friend to another person. And you find out, of course, you have to have their name, maybe their profession, and one thing special about your friend. You know, this is Tom Gibson. He just arrived in Canada 2 weeks ago. So that's something very special, and that will be a conversation starter for the person who joined the two of you as well. Another thing to be careful about is networking is not for selling. Doesn't matter whether you're selling, say, a product. You probably won't be selling a car to this person. The same way. Don't sell yourself. Do you have a position in your company? Do you know somebody who's going to hire and all that? That's going to make somebody very uncomfortable, and they will just excuse themselves, leave, and you won't be able to make a connection. Okay. So no selling for networking. The goal is to build relationships, a long-term sort of a relationship. So we listen, we build trust, and we show our respect to each other. That will be the goal for networking. First, to build a relationship, we need to understand what the person's telling us. Right? So 100% attention, absolutely no cell phone, no laptop, no distraction, and show that you're listening with genuine interest. Meaning that you might be asking, clarify or something, ask them a little question here and there, give verbal and nonverbal feedback. And the key is listen more than you talk in a networking event. If you can do that, then you're pretty successful. Okay. The challenge we have in listening is we only retain about 25% of what we hear. Most of us do not listen with intent to understand. We listen with intent to reply. We're waiting for the opportunity, waiting for them to finish, and then we can talk. Okay. So when we do that, then we're so distracted. Our focus is not there. So we get 25% of what we hear. Here are a few tips to help you to improve your retention of the message they're telling us. One, keep an open mind. A lot of times we have our own opinion about something. Then once we have that, then it's very hard to hear what other people have to say. Okay? And second, don't interrupt. If you disagree, wait till the person finish before you talk. Instead of listening for the details, we need to listen for the big picture, so we understand the main meaning of the message. If we pay attention to the numbers and the year, the time, and all these details, then we'll miss the big picture. If sometimes we have difficulty listening, focusing, concentrating, because they're telling us something quite difficult that it's not in our area of sort of knowledge. If we're having difficulties, we will repeat the speaker's words in our head a few times, and that will help you to focus. Okay. So these are the tips that we will retain more of what we hear, and that's going to help us to make the other people feel understood. So if we understand other people first, then we can make them feel understood. Making them understood understood, very important before you can build trust. If I am talking and I don't think you're listening to me, and I don't think you're really understanding me, then I don't really trust. I can build that trust with you. Okay. And when we're talking, we also have to actively notice people's nonverbal cues. We see people are energized when they're smiling, they're responding to our questions and focusing, eye contact and everything is there. Then we know they're engaging, I'm engaging. But if I see the cell phones out, or they look bored, or they look elsewhere, see if they can talk to other people more interesting, then I need to adjust right away. So we need to actively look for non-verbal cues to change what we're saying. Okay? The focus, the way we talk, or maybe we're using too many technical terms. Making people feel understood involves your thinking and also your feeling. Okay? Not just understand technical terms, knowledge and everything, but you also have to feel. Einstein said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. So understanding is you can explain it, you can interpret, you can apply in your own situation or other situation, and you understand their perspective, but you also have your own perspective. And also you have that feeling. You can feel, I feel your pain, I feel your frustration. Okay? And you have some self-knowledge about this subject. So you learn something from it. Okay? All these come together to form understanding. Then the other practice activity I would invite you to do is in any sort of networking activity, people you meet, you introduce them yourself to them, and you ask this person to explain a concept or a term that's brand new to you. And then you go ahead and clarify their concept in your own words. So to tell them that I really make them feel understood. I really understand. Okay. So if you ask somebody, oh, okay, what's your daughter taking at university? And you say, well, mechatronics. What is mechatronics? After you explain it, a person comes back and say, okay, this is how I understand now. Mechatronics is the technology combining electronics and mechanical engineering. Is it robotics? Is it similar to robotics? So you're putting that in your own words to clarify your understanding. So that really makes people feel understood. So you don't just say, oh, mechatronics. So, okay, I don't understand it, but that's okay. But you actually ask them to explain, and you come back and show that you understand. And that's important. So networking, who, when, and where. I would say whoever, whenever, and wherever. I know some people will sort of have a scope of their networking to people with similar profession in their own similar, the same industry. But my personal opinion is open it up. In this world, people are connected. Doesn't matter whether they're in different professions, in a different part of the different industry. It is good to get connected with different sets of people. So be prepared to network with everyone. And Bill Nye, the science guy, said, everyone you will ever meet knows something you don't. And if you think of that, and then people sitting right beside you on an airplane, your taxi driver, your doctor, your dentist, they all know something that you don't. Okay? So we need to be prepared to network anytime, anywhere, whenever you can strike up a conversation with somebody's willing to participate in your conversation. Okay? So it could be a formal networking event, could be a conference, could be a sporting event with your kids, could be an informal office chat by the water cooler. It could be volunteer group that you volunteer with, and you're a taxi driver. It could be a bus stop, somebody taking a transit. Okay. So social meetup, friends, family, neighbors, sports events, rec programs, volunteer workplace, work and school, hiring events, formal networking events. And one thing that we have is there are mentoring opportunities everywhere. In Toronto, there's TRIAC for new immigrant professionals. But there are also other mentoring opportunities within other professions and associations. And there are conferences, workshop online. In a doctor's office, when I was at my dentist's office, I heard somebody was telling the front desk that he lost his job, so there's no dental coverage. And the dentist happened to walk by, and they had a conversation about his profession, what kind of companies that he wanted to work for. And the dentist offered somebody's contact information to him. Okay. So you never know. You just be prepared to network, and you might find some useful information. I talked to one of the plumbers that came to our house, and I found out about the apprenticeship program, the experience he had. So I can I can give a very good story about the apprenticeship program, how good it is for people who want to be in the trades, right? So there are different things that we can find out. And my doctor was a source for me for my husband's job lead. Who imagined that, right? So it's always good to be prepared to network, to find out information. And also there's another activities that we usually do is brainstorming, and usually that's with a group to seek advice. You might have a group of people you're talking with in a networking event, and you all want to discuss about this one common topic, maybe a group of 3 or 5 people. So this will be activity if you're in that situation. For example, you're looking for advice on networking, and you're new in this area, and you want to find out what are the things people do to network, where they network, what sort of networking events is available for you or your profession. So here we ask for and share positive networking experiences and suggestions with others. And we always want to be inclusive. So you want to be encouraging for everybody to participate. You want to maintain eye contact with everyone. Discourage all criticism of ideas. Like there are ideas people might agree and not agree with, but we don't criticize people when you're in a brainstorming situation. For example, here says, I know someone who got a job lead from a taxi driver. He followed up this lead and got the job. So this is, someone shared this experience. And it is a true story too, that told by one of my friends about her husband was on the way to a job interview, and then he started a conversation with his taxi driver, and the taxi driver say, hey, I know somebody who looking for somebody like you. He followed up the lead and he got a job. Okay. And I just want to add something with mentoring that I've heard many success stories about mentoring, and in the mentoring partnership, the mentor might be able to help the mentee with advice on job search. But also they will let the mentee access their networks. So they will make connection with their business associates. And I heard stories about either they're hired by the company the mentors is working for, or they're hired by somebody who the mentor knows. So as a mentoring partnership, that's also valuable if you have access to it. But we want to go all different directions or different ways to network, to expand the people you get to know, get to connect with in your career. What questions to ask is very much dependent on you, what sort of job you're looking for, or what work you're in, what career you're in, and also the occasion, whether it's formal, informal, or just very different. But here are some questions sample questions that you might use to help you to start a conversation. We ask questions. Why do we ask questions in a networking event? First, we want to show that we're genuinely interested in what they have to say. And we want to find if there's any common ground between the person and yourself, and to build a relationship. And also, we want to give people some opportunities to show their expertise. Okay. And the other purposes will be ask for advice and show your respect. And also gather insights on what the person knows about the industry, the companies, their profession, and also encourage these people to tell you stories, that you can learn from, and tell you stories that so you can find out about their value, their passion, what they believe in, and what worked for them. In your networking, we want to encourage storytelling. When somebody asks Henry Mintzberg, what's his favorite word of advice? And he said, connect. It's just one word. He is a writer and an educator, and he's a professor at McGill in management. So when we seek advice, somebody said, connect. And you see this person, do you understand what he means? If you don't, then you will ask questions to clarify, to pinpoint, asking him to tell stories, to give examples, and all that. Right? So then we'll be asking questions too, so that we can learn something from it. Because that one word maybe means a lot to him, he knows, but for us might not. So it's up to you, up to us to find something valuable to us. Genuine answers. So never tell any lies or any embellishment of what you've done. So before you speak, we'll have to think. Is it true? Has to be true, right? Is it helpful or is it inspiring? One of those. Is it necessary? It has to be necessary. Is it kind? It must be kind. Okay. Before you ask anything, you say anything, think about these things and before we answer. Okay, the last step of networking, you need to connect. So we need a contact information. If you decide you want to connect with somebody, you need to close this loop, which means ask for permission. May I contact you? May I connect with you through LinkedIn, or may I call you in a couple of weeks to meet for coffee? Okay, so, and follow up. After you've done that, then we need to follow up. So this is the last step in the networking sort of opportunity when you talk to somebody. LinkedIn is something that we cannot ignore, and as a professional, because it is the largest professional network. It has 560 million plus members, over 22, how many? A lot of over the world, and then the fastest growing group are the university and college students. So, and the professionals really use LinkedIn, well, to different degrees. Some people use it a lot, but most of the professionals are connected on LinkedIn. So we need to start connecting. And this is another workshop altogether, because there are a lot to talk about in LinkedIn. But here the message I have for you is very important to get connected on LinkedIn, because that's something we don't want to miss. And that's the recruiters and also business associates, that they're all looking for you there. Making connections. Okay. These are connections we make with people we meet in all different occasions. So this practice activities for you is to take actions to connect. Once we gone through networking event, we need to make plans. We need first to exchange contact information with others, okay? And then we make plans to connect with in the next 2 weeks. If you finish the event today, then in the next 2 weeks you need to connect with the people that you want to connect with. So one method we use is that put your action plan in an envelope to be opened in 2 weeks. And then you look at it and say, have I done it? Have I contacted the person? Have I made the connection? Okay. So hold yourself accountable for your actions. Okay. I have a few sample questions, and then we're going to talk about networking cards very briefly. So sample questions, remember what the purpose of all these questions: genuine interest, show respect, getting information, getting insights, and that's the purpose of asking all these questions. Instead of saying, where are you from, which people look at me, I came to Canada over 35 years ago, but they still look at me saying, where are you from? Okay, I'm from Toronto, or before that I was from Calgary. But you say, instead of that, we will ask, where did you grow up? So we're not asking for a country, but where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Toronto, or did you grow up in a small town somewhere? And then let them tell their stories. How did you get started? What do you enjoy most? So every day you get up in the morning, go to work. Why are you so happy? What makes you happy? What do you see any trends in your industry? What do you enjoy outside work? Do you like sports? Do you like music? Do you like hiking? All these things can generate conversations and stories of something. And what are the changes seen in your industry, challenges, trends in your industry? And what was your proudest achievement? What was your proudest moment? Okay? And the most memorable occasion in your career? So these are all the questions can get people excited, positive things they want to talk about. And then you're looking for some advice. If you're a student graduating next year, or you're new in industry, what are the most important skills for this business? What's your advice for someone who's starting in this profession? What would make someone the ideal employee in your company? And then where do you usually go networking? Right? Are there any other networking activities that you would recommend? So these are, we're looking for advice. And we all need to connect and close, and then move on to the next opportunity that we have for people who want to know. I don't know too many people here. Is there anyone you think I should meet? So maybe this person say, oh yeah, my coworker is here and he's so and so, he's over there. You can tell him like talk to me already. Okay, so and it was a pleasure meeting you. Would you mind if I connect with you on LinkedIn or over a cup of coffee? So you're inviting a person to connect with you. And if they say no, don't feel bad. Sometimes it happens. And that's what networking is. Not going to be always successful, but you keep trying, be persistent, be positive, be polite, and courteous, then you will get your connections. For business cards, and we have companies and titled and everything. For networking cards, we're job seekers, maybe. We're students, and then we will make networking cards for networking opportunities. So they're designed for students or other job seekers, and same size as the business cards, and could be the same sort of similar design. And you want to have the key contact information, including your LinkedIn, if you do have LinkedIn. And the focus is on your career goals, skills, and qualifications, because we don't have a job title, we're not working, and customized for specific events. So today you're going to a job fair. It might be different than you're going to alumni networking event a week later. So we want to customize to make the biggest impact and most appropriate for the event. Okay. So therefore, you might want to produce these networking cards at home with business card paper, and make the design yourself, like this one. And so this person, Seneca College, and the program name, and your most important courses, right? Because we don't have any skills, work experience yet, but my career interests are these. Okay? Risk management, and that's my key interests. And this is for somebody who's worked before, many years, how many years experience in this area, and all the contact information's there, even your website if you have one, and qualifications are these: effective communicator, research skills, and what the key skills that you have, highlights. All right, so we're coming to sum it up. Networking is very, very important to your career, and we should make long-term investment. If you haven't started doing networking, it is time to start. Never too late to start, and it's going to be a lifetime investment. Networking. When we do networking, one key thing is we have to listen more than we talk. We also want to make people feel understood, so we can build trust. Okay? Everything we do has to be genuine. Questions we ask, answers we give, and our attitude has to be true to ourselves. Need to be patient. There's no instant returns on your networking effort. Okay? It is a long-term thing. During networking, we need to offer to help without expecting anything in return. And giving is a very important part of networking. And always be prepared to network with anybody, anywhere, anytime. The key of all this to make it successful is you enjoy it. You have fun. You truly love to know people and learn new things. Okay? And with that attitude, you will be successful. All right. Any questions?
Well, none have come in yet, Sailing, but we'll just keep it the lines open for a few minutes, just in the event that somebody does have some questions. There's a lot of great information that you've provided today, and I think for a lot of people, if they can take away a few nuggets, then it's really made this webinar worthwhile for them. And I would put myself in this position. I mean, networking, God, it can be a lonely experience, I guess, and frightening. And I think in the very beginning you'd said about, take a friend so that at least you feel a little bit more comfortable. But one of the nicest things I think I liked what you said was be a good listener. And I think sometimes, whether it's nerves take over, that we really sometimes are not a good listener. We just rattle on, but stepping back and just listening to the people is a really worthwhile message that you've given today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So no questions still. So let's just give it one more minute before we close up. So one individual here has commented that they're attending a 3-day event. I'm not sure what I would have imagined. So the 3-day event, that's so networking for 3 days. Yeah, I'm just going to need a holiday after that. That's exhausting. And she's basically saying, with it being a 3-day event, is there any advice that you would give?
Networking, three-day
It's a
networking
3-day
event.
event.
Oh, so if it's 3 days, I think you need a lot of planning and a lot of preparation with questions to ask, what questions to ask, and also you have to, I think you have to have a clear goal. I mean, if it's 3 days, what do you want to come out with? You know, who do you want to meet? Um, what what do you want to learn? And what sort of goals that you have set for yourself? I mean, 3 days is a long time. So you really need a lot of planning, thinking ahead.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Because most of the networking events that I've been to was like, in 2 hours, 3 hours, evening or daytime. And it's kind of easy, right? You meet a few people and that's it. It's, achieve what you want to do. But 3 days, um, maybe you want to reach out to people that you want to connect with. If you know some certain people are going to go, maybe you can reach out to them and say, I will be there and I would like to meet with you, or something. Do some planning ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of just let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a long time, 3 day networking.
Yeah. And basically, they just don't want to overwhelm people with questions, right? So, I mean, I
Right.
think it's just been, planning it out is the best,
Yeah, plan it out is the best.
Yeah, be a good
So,
listener. Yeah.
and see if you can find out if who's going. Maybe you have a few people that you're interested in meeting, and then you can uh, sort of plan ahead a little bit, introduce yourself ahead of time and say, I would like to meet you maybe, uh, around this time or lunchtime or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's it for questions. We're starting to get thank yous now. So, hopefully everybody will do well with their networking. And again, this webinar will be will be posted on our website in due course. I thank you all for participating and look forward to you joining us for our upcoming webinars. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.